tell you, Peter, before the rooster crows today, you will deny me 3 times. Deny that you even knew me. Says the reading. We find Peter and Jesus in an interesting part of this passion narrative. Peter claims that he would follow Jesus to his very death, knowing that they've been involved in a movement, a social movement to enfranchise those who for too long have been marginalized. Peter knows the gravity of their work. He knows the gravity of coming into Jerusalem this week, knowing that they have disrupted so much in the social order. Yeah. Finally, in these last hours, Peter says, "Wherever you go, Lord, I will follow." But Jesus, I can imagine him simply smirking and saying, "Before the rooster would crow 3 times today, you would deny me." The night goes on. They make their way to the Mount of Olives, and what they hoped would not happen ended up transpiring. Roman guards come in to capture Jesus, this truth teller, this messianic figure, this figure of hope for so many that they've been waiting for so long. Peter is there. He wants to fight the Roman soldiers, but Jesus tells him to stand back. This is what's necessary. This is what is called for at this time. They carry Jesus from this Mount of Olives, and Peter follows Jesus at a distance as he's jostled and compromised by Roman guards. This was ultimately the worst nightmare of what could have happened to this growing movement. Because you see, Jesus was supposed to be different. The scriptures were supposed to be manifested in his movement. He was supposed to be the Messiah that actualized the values of this liberation movement. But now, Jesus is in the same and possibly worse position than John the Baptist and the other truth tellers of the day. He was captured by Roman authorities, grouped with bandits, and now he awaited his execution. There was no mistaking that he would be killed. Many prophets of first century Palestine who were accused of speaking against the state were not only killed in the most brutal way, but hung on crosses, made examples of for those who may have had a similar idea. Peter realizes this is not only a fear for Jesus, but also it's a fear for his own life. Because he is just as guilty of the same crimes. You see, he was there when thousands were preached to, when he was there when thousands were fed by bread and wine. He was there when the hewers of wood and drawers of water came to Jesus seeking some fulfillment, seeking some hope. He was there. As he spoke against the state, he was there. And he continues to look on and follow as Jesus endures the abuse and scolding until one person recognizes him and says, "Do you know this man?" And I can imagine the pain in Peter's face, the heart dropping in his chest. And he says, I cannot say that I know this man. Uttering a simple yes would mean I align with this movement so much that I'm willing to endure the same pain as Jesus. He denies it. And just as soon as he denies it, another person cries out and says, I've seen you with this man before. And just as soon as they say that, he denies it again. And finally, a third person. She knows that she's seen Peter with Jesus. And he denies it a third time. And finally, Peter looks into the eyes of Jesus and remembers the words he spoke to him hours before. 3 times before the rooster crows, you will deny me. Peter decides to compromise who he is so that he would avoid marginalization. He compromises to avoid the violence. He compromises so that he could fit into the idea of what is socially acceptable for him. Something less radical, something antithetical to the entire movement they've been building for so long. Too often today we find ourselves compromising who we are. Compromising who we are called to be in order to make someone else comfortable, to avoid criticism on our own lives. Some of us with black skin allow the musings of others, outside sources, to determine how we should present ourselves in the public square. Too many of us have used skin bleachers because we think we're too dark. Too many of us use hair straighteners because we think our hair is too crinkled. Too many of us align with what Frantz Fanon would say, black skin covered under white masks. A weird psychosocial phenomenon to say that we're striving for a standard of excellence that has not been fully achieved by the others we aspire towards. But the gospel of Jesus calls us to radically assert who we are. To radically assert our blackness, to radically assert our difference, to radically assert our boldness, to radically assert our queerness, to radically assert who we are, because each one of us has a unique gift to the world. The more we allow outside sources and influence to obfuscate that difference, the more we hinder the progress of history. Can you imagine if Fannie Lou Hamer didn't say that she was indeed sick and tired of being sick and tired? Can you imagine if Adam Clayton Powell did not encourage people to keep the faith? Can you imagine if Martin Luther King Jr. did not radically proclaim a bold democratic dream for this country? Where would we be? Who would we be? How would we live in this society we call America? The world calls for change agents, people who can radically identify and claim their space in this world, no matter what is said or how many things are done to you. The world moves by the visions we claim and the identities we accept for ourselves. And in the words of Martin Luther King Jr., the true measure of a man or woman is not where they stand in moments of comfort and convenience, but where we stand in moments of challenge and controversy. And today we live in a world that is imbued with so much controversy. Controversy over black men who wear hoodies in gated communities, controversy over young men who are killed in the middle of streets in Ferguson, Missouri, compromise and controversies of women who are not able to find relief before being killed through a window or a door, seeking help. The world is full of controversy, but the world needs your voice. They need to know, where do you stand on these issues? Where do we stand? Who do we align with? Do we align with this radical truth teller from Galilee? This radical man who accepted a truth so much for himself that he was willing to accept the abuse, accept the cross, and allow his life to be a testament of how much sacrifice can change a world for generations. Who will you be? And where will you stand? Will you accept your identity or deny it for another day for some more convenience? Thus ends the word. Thus ends the word. Amen.
We invite you to join the Martin Luther King Jr. International Chapel Assistants every Sunday at 5:30 p.m. for services in King Chapel. Gather with us on Thursdays at 5:30 p.m. for Theological Table Talk in the Lucian Tobin Library. Till we gather again, God be with you.